Okay, let's see here. Hopefully, hopefully the vocal levels are better this time. And if it isn't, I'm going to lose my mind. Some settings have been just like really annoying in my software, so hopefully you can hear this. Hopefully it's not super quiet and it's balanced out, and hopefully I'll never have to do it ever again. Okay, so I'm gonna do this is the Sabor Cubano weekly challenge, and I'm gonna do the first song and the third song, which is the same song, just one's the bass line and one is fancy chords. So start off with the easy one. Try that again. I just need to bump my headphones up. Okay, offbeat.
Guantanamera, Guajira, Guantanamera, Guantanamera, Guajira, Guantanamera. Yo soy un hombre sincero, de donde crece la palma. Yo soy un hombre sincero, de donde crece la palma. Y antes de morir yo quiero echar mis versos del alma. Guantanamera, Guajira, Guantanamera, Guantanamera, Guajira, Guantanamera.
Okay. Sort of lost my focus there a little bit.
Well done. You can continue to the next exercise.
Okay, so you might have noticed I'm doing something I'm not doing the suggested fingerings. So if you look here, I'm doing a first finger on the 3rd fret, and then I'm doing 3rd finger on the 5th fret of the 6th string, same string, and then I'm doing this thing with my 3rd finger and then my 4th finger. That's not necessary. The reason why I'm doing it is I find it's a smoother change that I can get from this note to that note without any silence in between. There's just a... And that's just something that's a little bit personal. That's by no means something you have to do. If you find it more comfortable to shift with the same finger, this song's slow enough, it's not that big of a deal. So other than that, some offbeat. So and that's what I was sort of dreaming a little bit there and not really paying attention. So I think the song is in my head a little bit better now, so I'll play it better. But that's something that just to keep in mind, that you know, there's parts of they'll be on offbeats, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and that kind of thing. So on the ands, I'll try it again.
Guantanamera, soy un hombre sincero, de donde crece la palma, y antes de morir yo quiero echar mis versos del alma. Guantanamera, Guajira, Guantanamera, Guantanamera, Guajira, Guantanamera.
Okay, so silly mistake.
Almost perfect. Next time, you'll nail it.
Let's sing. What to do? What to do? I'll just no, let's do the whole thing. See if we can perfect this one.
Guantanamera, Guajira, Guantanamera, Guantanamera, Guajira, Guantanamera. Yo soy un hombre sincero, de donde crece la palma. Yo soy un hombre sincero, de donde crece la palma. Y antes de morir yo quiero echar versos del alma. Guantanamera, Guajira, Guantanamera, Guantanamera.
Okay, that one's
Perfect.
done.
Keep on rocking like this.
So if you noticed, you know, if you've watched a few of my playthroughs of these, you'll notice that a lot of what I'm talking about, a lot of what I'm trying to explain is it's essentially organizing your mind, and that encompasses your learning process. So it's not just this song or that song, but it's something that if you can get your mind to really get yourself to be really organized in your mind about how you're trying to remember certain things, this spills over to every song you'll ever learn. So that's probably the most important process of what I'm trying to talk about is not like sometimes it will be technical and very particular things to a song, but for the most part it's the mental process. If you think the right way and organize your thoughts about anything that you're trying to learn, it's going to make the next song easier and easier and easier and easier. So okay, level 6. So just double checking that I'm not distorting or that my levels are okay. No loops.
Guantanamera, Guajira, Guantanamera, Guantanamera, Guajira, Guantanamera.
B minor flat. All right. I have a certain chord, but it's not. I should probably talk about what you should keep in mind when you're doing this chord change. So these chords are happening one after the other. So this one here, oops, The important thing is going to be using your first finger as sort of like an anchor point in this chord change. So when we go to the next one, so that's on their third finger and fourth finger on these two. So when we switch to the next one, you want to make sure that you're using your first finger as an anchor to just shift up. So actually, and your fourth finger, so this is the previous chord, the B flat diminished, just leave those, slide that up, and then I'm lifting the third finger off and then replacing it putting a finger down, sorry, not replacing, but putting a finger down on the second fret of the third string. So lift the third finger off, slide the shape forward, and then finally placing your second finger. And then all the way up to your first string. Okay, let's just take a look here and see if there's any weirdness. Don't know why that won't slide over. It's probably because this is in the way. Okay, so that's a normal chord. So there we go. Let's try this again.
Guantanamera, Guapila, Guantanamera, Guantanamera, Guapila, Guantanamera.
That kind of
Yo
sucks.
soy un hombre sincero, de donde crece la palma. Yo soy un hombre sincero, de donde crece la palma. Y antes de morir yo quiero echar mis versos del alma.
Okay.
Well done. You can continue to the next exercise.
So not a great score, and I'm totally okay with that. And basically, whenever I'm never terribly concerned with my first run. Half of what I'm trying to do, half of my goal is to learn the song, get the sound of it in my head. So I'm not really concerned with, as you can see, I'm not like, oh, I screwed something up and I'm going back and trying to fix it. I'm not concerned with that. I'm not concerned with how good of a run it is so much as hearing the song in its entirety, getting the sound of it into my head, really learning the song. And the mistakes are irrelevant. I could make, I could even fail a song, and it's not that big of a deal to me. I'm just trying to listen to the song. And sometimes, if let's say I do fail a song, I'll go straight into practice mode, and I'll just, that way you can't fail. So you'll hear the entire song from beginning to end. So the other thing that's happening with this is it's Yousician. It's a little bit too strict in my opinion. Yousician is really strict as far as chords. Strumming, its nature is a little bit imperfect. Sometimes you're going to hit 5 strings. Sometimes when you meant to hit 6. Sometimes you're going to hit 3 strings when you're supposed to hit 4. So it's a little bit imperfect. And real world playing, that's just what happens. And I'm not terribly concerned with being flawless with my strumming. So whenever I'm trying to gold star Yousician songs, a lot of the time feels a little bit unnatural for me, because the way I'm strumming is not the way that I would strum in a real song, in the sense that I will allow the imperfections to be there. In Yousician, that it doesn't work, so it's only sort of determining if you're hitting exactly precisely what the game wants to recognize. So if you're not doing what the game wants to recognize according to the game, you're wrong. So a lot of the time I'm holding and I'm strumming chords a little bit unnaturally for me. And it's good for you. There are some songs out there where you have to be this precise. So there are some styles where you have to be absolutely perfect with each strum. So it is good for you. It's not. I'm not trying to say that strumming this way is not useful or never happens in real music. It's usually very specific genres or stylistic things. For example, Rock This Town, that one is from Stray Cats. That one is very, very precise in your strumming. And it doesn't sound right unless you're just perfect with how many strings that you should be hitting in that song. So now that I sort of have an idea of what this sound looks like, I'm going to try to be a little bit more, for lack of a better word, a little bit more mechanical in my strumming hand, which again is going to feel a little bit unnatural, especially at this tempo because it's a little bit slow. But for the sake of just trying to, make the chords recognize a little bit better and, gold starring it, that's what I'm going to do for this run.
Yo soy un hombre sincero, de donde crece la palma, y antes de morir yo quiero echar mis versos del alma.
Oops.
Guantanamera, Guajira, Guantanamera, Guantanamera, Guajira, Guantanamera.
Okay. So
Well
as
done. You can continue to the next exercise.
As you can see, still wasn't a great run. So, and that's, again, I think it's like not necessarily because I'm I'm playing really lousy, but again, it's just the game is super strict. So I'll do a couple more runs. I'm not going to beat this one to death, but probably should tune my guitar. Ha. Yep, so I'm not really in tune. So I tend not to use the tuner for much other than getting my first pitch. Other than that, I like to tune by ear. Off the, some chords, like I'm trying to mute from chord to chord, so I'm going to try just playing straight through and seeing if I get better recognition. So I think it's that last one that's getting messed up a lot of the time.
Guantanamera, Guajira, Guantanamera, Guantanamera, Guajira, Guantanamera. Yo soy un hombre sincero, de donde crece la palma. Yo soy un hombre sincero, de
So a bit of a silly mistake.
Almost perfect.
Bit of a
Next time, you'll nail it.
Some silly mistakes. That's something that I don't like about the new update, is that that voice continues on even though I've sort of went out of that screen, and usually it stops. So anyway, little quibble. I'll do one last run here, and then call it a day. See how it goes. Oops. Okay, let's try that again. Wigging out.
Guantanamera, Guajira Guantanamera. Yo soy un hombre sincero, de donde crece la palma. Yo soy un hombre sincero, de donde crece la palma. Y antes de morir yo quiero echar mis versos del alma. Guantanamera, Guajira Guantanamera, Guantanamera, Guajira Guantanamera.
Almost perfect. Next time, you'll nail it.
Okay, so I think as you can see, chords are just hard to get perfect in this game. Like I said, I'm finding that I'm having to play a little bit more robotic as far as trying to get the recognition perfect. Just because strumming, again, by its nature, is a little bit imperfect. That's just the nature of how it works. So I'm just gonna finish off these last two sections if I can, and just to get the gold.
Guantanamera. Yo soy un hombre sincero, de donde crece la palma. Yo soy un hombre sincera.
Actually, it's not really cheating. I changed what I did to just get better recognition, which was all downstrokes. Downstrokes are a natural action, so doing an upstroke, there's a greater tendency to have an uneven stroke, or missing strings, or just having a little bit of a, it's just a little bit more of an imperfect sound when you do upstrokes. So when I did all downstrokes, the recognition was much better. So I'll finish it off.
Mis versos del alma. Guantanamera, Guajira Guantanamera.
Try that again.
Mis versos del alma. Guantanamera, Guajira Guantanamera. Guantanamera, Guajira Guantanamera.
Last try.
Mis versos del alma. Guantanamera, Guajira Guantanamera. Guantanamera, Guajira Guantanamera.
driving me a little bit crazy.
Mis versos del alma. Guantanamera, Guajira, Guantanamera, Guantanamera, Guajira, Guantanamera.
Yeah. I'm not gonna borrow it, so I'm okay with that.
Almost perfect. Next time, you'll nail it.
I'll spend, probably spend a little bit more time on that one just to, get a better run, get to that last final goal. And throughout the week, I'll just, try to perfect it a little bit more. Or I guess it was only like 3 more days. So, anyway, that's that one. Once again, a reminder that I am on Patreon, so I will put a link to my Patreon page. If you guys could support me on Patreon, that would be amazing. Just one little note, a lot of people get freaked out with the way things work on Patreon, and I'm going to do a video later on that sort of explains why I'm on Patreon and how Patreon works. I'll do that later on. But basically, some people get freaked out because it'll say, let's say you do the $1 tier, that they think they're going to get charged for every single video. So let's say I do 10 videos in a month, and that's like, that's $10 per video. But you can cap it. You can actually cap it at $1. You can, so it won't be like, you won't be getting charged over and over and over again. Again, I'm going to explain this a lot further if you don't understand what I'm saying in another video. Just how Patreon works. Patreon is pretty new. Not a lot of people understand how it works precisely, so I'll do another video that actually explains how that works. And anyway, I'll be doing part 2 with the other